Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having us and everyone else that's tuning in. I know this partnership between Hikari and Metaverse has been going on for a while now. We're super excited to be working with you guys. But I'll actually hand it over to Z's if you want to just kind of touch on the dynamics of the partnerships, and then we can just kind of go from there.
Yeah. Are you guys ready for us just to get straight into it?
Hey, look, you're absolutely good to go for it. Perhaps why don't we do just a quick round of grounds here? Perhaps just a very quick one-liner, starting with yourself, Z's. For the team, just for any of our listeners who might not be so familiar, just maybe perhaps briefly what you do at, of course, the Hikari project.
100%. So obviously, Z's, I'm one of the marketing advisors on board Hikari, and obviously helping heavily on that end and partnerships and all that good stuff. So that's a bit about me. Devise, do you want to go?
Yeah, and then I'm Devise. I'm head of operations of Hikari. My job is just to make sure we meet our deadlines and just make sure everybody's working together and there's no hiccups along the way. But yeah, Shmood, if you want to go next.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Shmood. I'm the community manager, so obviously just running everything through Discord and make sure everyone's sorted on that end. Dom.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Dom. I'm the game developer behind Legends of Hikari, and that's the Hikari Moba, which we're looking to release.
Perfect. And then we got G's, our artist, who's, I guess, struggling just to get on the stage here. But G's has been drawing for over the past 10 years and saw the opportunities that have risen for artists in the NFT space and wanted to get into it. And myself and our team at ChainX got connected with G's about 4 months ago, just through some mutual friends, and saw a great opportunity to help G's get his art into the NFT space, while also, just creating a reputable brand and business, which we all know is Hikari now. And as I'm sure you guys know, G's art is very unique and just well above anything else we've seen in the NFT space. And our goal was to build a project where, our holders feel like they have a personal connection to their NFT and the art itself, which is why the team kind of came up with Jin Yu. The team has just put in a tremendous amount of work over the past couple months to get to where we are today. We're excited for all you guys to see the project come to life here in the next couple days when we meet on April 10th. So on that note, I'll just kind of go ahead and pass it over to the rest of the team so they can just go over the different aspects of Hikari and how we separate ourselves from every other project in the NFT space.
Perfect. Yeah, I can sort of take it from here if you guys want. I guess the best thing to probably do, guys, is just give a brief overview of I guess the different aspects. There's obviously quite a few unique aspects to Hikari, so if you want, we can obviously give a rundown on all of that and touch on the roadmap and the utility a little bit, and then we can go from there.
That sounds awesome. You guys came prepared. I like this.
We've done a few of these by now, mate. So we're pretty prepared.
Go for it.
Yeah, awesome. So obviously, as I'm sure some of you have seen, there's a few different dynamics, I guess you could say, with Hikari, right? So the first being what obviously Devise spoke about, which is Jin Yu. So to walk you guys, the easiest way to really understand everything is just to walk you guys exactly through how these different aspects are going to work and sort of how they all combine and come together to form Hikari. So essentially what will happen on mint day is you will go in and you will mint a Hikari soul. So I believe it was retweeted even yesterday, I think. If you go on Twitter, you'll see the soul there, and that's what you will be minting. So once you have that soul, you will be able to either hold on to it, right? Much like, if you compare it to the vial system, right, of obviously Clonex, much like that system, you'll either be able to hold on to the soul and there will be future benefits coming there, which we've alluded to, future opportunities. If you go and read the manuscript, you'll get a few hints on that end. But you'll also be able to take that soul at any time and put it for a system called Jin Yu. So Devise, I'll just touch on a little bit surrounding Jin Yu and sort of how obviously that came about. So really, if you look at projects, there's a few, key aspects in really building a strong foundational base or a strong foundation for any given project, right? One of those is the relationship between the art and the relationship between the holder. And that was a big focus right from the start, right? A lot of you guys will, some of you may have experienced before when, you sort of have this NFT or you have this piece of art that you feel some sort of connection to, as crazy as it sounds, right? For me, it's Pudgy Penguins, which is funny because they're doing exceptionally well recently. But when I look at Pudgies, that clean, sleek, cute sort of art, there's almost this kind of like euphoric feeling that you get from it. And if you've felt it before, you'll know where I'm coming from. And it sounds crazy, I know. But like I said, if you've been in that situation, and if you've found a piece of art that you can sort of relate to a little bit, you'll get exactly where I'm coming from. And it was, a question of how do you replicate that on scale? And obviously, it's very hard to do just from an art base, right? Because obviously everyone has their personal preferences. And this is where sort of Gen U came into play was, okay, how do we create that relationship between art and holder and do it in a way that really caters to, a vast, wide audience? And that's where Gen U obviously is, to get straight to the point, Gen U is really a personality test. It's based off what's called the DISC framework. And essentially what you'll be able to do is once you have your soul, you'll be able to take it to the Hikari website, connect your wallet, verify that you have the soul, and you enter into Gen U. And so the first sort of screen of Gen U, obviously, once you've been through all the instructions, will be a first question when your character is born, asking if you want that character to be male or female. Okay, and that will obviously determine the gender of your character. Then you'll go on and you'll go through 30 different questions throughout this character's life. So these are situational questions. They're based around a branching storyline. So you'll start with the character at birth, and obviously you'll go through a good portion of its life, answering all these different questions along the storyline. Obviously, depending on what answer you place or what answer you put, you'll obviously develop or go along a different story path. Right, so there's about 450 different paths that you can take within Gen U. Obviously, you'll be presented with 30 questions, like I said, and so at the end, what you'll do is you'll be essentially put into a specific grouping. You'll be given a personality profile for that character, and you'll be given a character that sort of relates to that specific personality profile or Gen U submission, and so. I guess that's sort of the first utility point for the souls, or the first aspect for Hikari, which is going to be released, obviously, at the completion of Mint, when Gen U will be available. And yeah, so you'll be able to essentially take that soul at any time. You'll be able to connect it to the website and get a full personality profile on it, or that character, I should say. Once you've got it, you'll be able to take it to the website, connect it, and get that full personality profile. And then you'll also be able to use essentially that character in our Moba game, which we recently announced. So, Dom, do you just want to give a brief rundown on the Moba, how that works, and sort of the different dynamics to it?
Yeah, so with a MOBA, if you're not familiar with what that even stands for, it is multiplayer online battle arena. If you still kind of don't get what that is, think of League of Legends or Dota 2, or I'm more familiar with Overwatch, so let's say or think Overwatch. You're going to be able to spawn into a game. If you are familiar with the Hikari lore, there are 4 teams. We're putting our own unique spin on the MOBA genre. Instead of 2 teams in a game, we're doing 4 teams. So you would spawn in with your respective clan, and it is a last clan standing type of game mode. There are a few different player archetypes, which I guess I could go into that later. Or would you guys rather me go into that now? Aziz?
Yeah, I think maybe touch on it briefly now, and
Touch on
then
it briefly.
yeah.
Yes. So in any MOBA, there's different play styles. I mean, I guess everybody has a preferred play style. Some people like to be the guy up front, the tank. Some people like to, run around real quick, real agile, put down some damage. That would be a lightweight or a DPS character. Some people like a mid-tier character. That's what we're calling a ranger. So we are supporting those 3. And I'm actually working on a 4th, but I'm gonna leave off. I'm gonna hold off on that. I'm sure if you're familiar with MOBAs, you can probably already tell what it is. Something very important that I left out. But there's going to be those 3 supported at launch. And essentially, there's going to be team composition. There's going to be strategy amongst you and the other people on your team. And keep in mind, the people on your team are also people in your clan from the Gen U experience. So I'm not sure if Z's mentioned it. I kind of zoned out. I'm sorry, but Hikari has clans. There are 4 clans, and depending on which clan you are placed in after the Gen U experience, you will be able to represent that clan specifically in gameplay. So if you are a Tempest in your NFT, that is the clan that you will spawn in with, and you'll be able to represent and fight for your clan in that game mode. So it's kind of a really, really cool spin on teamwork, because the teamwork extends not just in the game mode, but outside of the game mode, because you do have a stake in that clan just by holding that NFT. And then for anybody who's, familiar with the MOBA genre or something like League of Legends, the game is heavily inspired by League of Legends. Let me just say that because our community is very, very invested in that game. You're going to be, you're going to have a familiar feel to Legends of Hikari. There's things like AI, there's objectives spread throughout the map that will help you in progression, the progression of your character in that one game instance. There's a lot of concepts that we wanted to make sure that we brought over so that it was a familiar package, being resemblant of League of Legends, but in a very, very new way. And I think specifically that 4-team game mode is going to be something that's very, very refreshing, a refreshing take on the MOBA genre that I think the community should be very, very excited for.
Fantastic. Appreciate that, Dom. I guess if we just want to touch on to an extremely important aspect of any project, and that's obviously community. So, Shmoot, do you just want to touch on a little bit surrounding, obviously, Discord, how that's been working, whitelist, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Ziz. As obviously many of you would agree, our mod team have done an exceptional job on the front end to build the community to what it is today. When taking in mod applications, I think we had somewhere around 600 to 700 applicants sign up, and the team really went through breaking down each of the members' skills, just giving us an understanding of what they could bring to the table. Crafting a strong team has really helped us, taking a big load off the shoulders of our developers and artists, as they work in the background to produce a brand of innovation and quality. So for that, I'd just like to extend my thanks from the team, obviously to our guardians. So regarding the Discord method, as you all know, we have taken a hybrid approach to the locked Discord meta. The team found that it was important that information within Discord needed to be visible to the public. Announcements, team updates, GNU and game updates. Having this information locked away was not going to benefit the growth of Hikari at all. All community channels are locked, such as chats and VCs, but can be unlocked through completing a quiz on the information provided within these information channels. As a team, we wanted to ensure that obviously the members are well versed on Hikari, gaining a deeper understanding of our mission and our goals to have access to the community. Time and time again, we have seen the locked meta being used as a marketing ploy, and we have seen the adverse effects of this method. So I truly believe, obviously, our balance was the best way moving forward when building Hikari. Obviously, just to touch on whitelist a little bit, we are down to our final 35 spots, excluding some giveaways that you guys will see on Twitter. But we do have some final events running within Discord, with a big one coming up tomorrow. One of our guardians, Back, I'm sure many of you know, is really great at creating highly detailed and well thought out riddles. So you guys will see that pushed out. So I really recommend you guys jumping into Discord, working alongside, some of your friends and some members from the community, as these will be the final 10 spots. So yeah, perfect. I mean, obviously, I just want to hand over back to the Metaverse HQ team if you guys have any questions.
Yeah, definitely. Look, thanks for the very thorough rundown on pretty much everything Hikari. It's been extremely informative. So, where to start now? I think the
Yeah,
burning
it's probably
question.
a lot to take in.
It is. It is. I know everyone's head spinning in the audience, likely. So we'll try to unpick a couple of parts of this project and maybe dig into some of the areas of interest. And since we've been talking about the MOBA recently, maybe I'll start there. So one of the things I wanted to know. People are going to be minting their souls. They're going to be going through the GNU process to create their character from that soul. That character is going to be assigned to a clan, and then you're going to be able to play the MOBA representing that clan. So one of the things that's interesting to me, how is the team planning to handle game balance? So that GNU process, it's going to put you in a clan. It's going to get you some attributes. How are you going to manage balance within the game
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, Dom, do you just
So,
want to? Yeah.
yeah, I got
All
it.
good.
So by balance, you're referring to skills, right? Abilities usable in game.
There's two elements there. So there's the skills in game, and there's also then lobbies. So crafting a
That's
game and,
yeah,
and populating that game.
yeah. That's a really good question, actually. So let's talk about how so I'm not sure if Z's touched on this, but something that he's explained incredibly to me is kind of the gamified approach of Gen U. So let's assume that Tempest, which is the clan that I always say, I don't know why, maybe it's because I like green, but Tempest is the most popular clan. Let's assume that's the case. I'm not saying it is, but let's assume that. And people happen to mint out the most Tempests. There's an unproportionate amount of Tempest. With the Gen U process and with the Souls process, the other three clans become more rare. So the people who held out their souls, they do have an opportunity to go back in, answer the questions accordingly, and try to get those rarer tokens in an attempt to, maybe find something that holds a little bit more value due to supply and demand. So that being said, in terms of how that translates to the game, of course, we cannot ensure that there will be an equal amount of players per clan. Actually, I have no expectation of that being the case. One mechanism that we do have in place to ensure that games do run is that assuming that a lobby queue has taken too long, the game will start sub 5-player teams. So let's assume, the lobby has been queuing up for 3 minutes now, and two teams or even three teams have 5 players, and one team is just short. They can't seem to find that fifth player. Albeit it will be unfortunate for the three people, those people in excess, the last three people to queue up for those teams with 5. They will be removed from the lobby to ensure that the game is able to start. And of course, that's not a perfect system, but it does keep the game active. It does keep the lobbies moving, and it keeps people who are able to queue up. It does keep them happy. In terms of time zones, which is another thing that we have, I've received a lot of questions on. So time zones and latency, or not, maybe not time zones, but latency and connections based on international players. We have built-in functionality to ensure that the server system, it'll queue you up with people, or the host which you have the best latency with, or maybe not the best, but it does take that into account. So consider two lobbies queuing up simultaneously, or within a similar amount of time. One lobby would be in the United States and another lobby, say, in Europe. Your latency, if you're from the States, would obviously not be as strong with the or the lobby queuing up in Europe. It does take that into account. So that is another kind of measure we're taking into account to make sure that the whole queuing and lobby system is kind of protected. To kind of answer your question, that first part of the question more directly, the balancing or the evenness of the teams itself after launch, me personally, and I'm sure the team would agree with this, we expect the game to be played rather vigorously, right? You would expect a new product to go out. There will be a lot of support from the community. People are going to be wanting to play it. The amount of concurrent players, I can't tell you how much that would be. Each lobby is looking like it would be anywhere from 16 to 20 players, again with that short stacked, or that sub 5-player team start that can be a use case. So we don't expect that to be a problem necessarily up front, but I personally am working on a few potential use or solutions to that problem. One of which is the very simple solution of starting to implement just a simple 2v2 game mode, but then or I'm sorry, not 2v2, 1v1, so two team game mode. So the standard MOBA that most people are familiar with. So moving on to, I guess, the next question, just because I wanted to make sure I touch on that. Ability balancing, something I really, really want to get down and have in the game is some sort of unique ability per clan. Not just one. I want people to have an ability, if again they're a Tempest, which is earthly green, they have an ability that best represents them. It could be entirely, completely unique. The same thing with the Scorching Sun. They're fire, they're red. Maybe they have a devastating fire, meteor crash, or something like that. Every clan should have something unique, something special, something that makes people feel a little more attached to the gameplay of their clan, of that token. But as your question is asking, how do you balance that? And the answer is, you have to test. You have to get the game out to the community. You have to see what's overpowered. The same way, the big studios, the AAA studios do it. Um, I think back to Modern Warfare 2 on Xbox 360. If anybody in here has played that, the Model 1887s, you could shoot somebody, if you had a Kimbo, you could shoot somebody across the map. They were wildly unbalanced. But that's how it is. You got to get it in front of the community. You have to let the community break it a little bit to see what needs to be fixed. An overwhelming majority of the abilities, however, will be rather similar. So for example, consider the Scorching Sun and the Tempest clan. Each of them, some of the classes, let's say some of the classes, I'm not going to get into class names because we're trying to hold that tight for some sneak peeks, but projectile-based combat. Let's say there is a class that shoots a fireball or shoots some sort of projectile, like a wizard class, which you can almost bet on being in the game. The Scorching Sun, you would expect that projectile to be a fireball, right? Because red fire, it just makes sense. The Tempest clan, it should be reskinned to best represent them. So it could be an earthly, a ball of earth, or maybe a ball of leaf, or something propelled by wind, something to best represent the clan, and again, have people really, really attach themselves to the gameplay of their token. Is that answer? I think I got most of it there.
Yeah, you did. Thanks. So we
No
talked
problems.
about the balance within the game itself, as well as how you're going to be populating lobbies, which is really great to know. And I do note that I think there was an 8-week timeline on the game availability once the collection sells out. So in terms of where the game is in the production timeline, what's going to be ready at that milestone? Is that going to be an alpha, a beta, fully fledged, full utility? What will the consumers be expecting?
Yeah, so I definitely wouldn't call it an alpha because most of the alpha testing is going to be done internally by myself. But of course, I'm going to need to do some testing through a multiplayer in a networked setting. So I've been talking with a few community members. A lot of them, as you would imagine, they have volunteered to help me test out, which is likely going to be an avenue that we explore. So that would be considered a beta test. Really, with any game nowadays, you can consider that initial release a beta test, right? Because the game development does not stop at launch. There's going to be bugs that need to be hashed out. But what can holders expect when the game is released? My goal is I kind of assemble my goals or arrange my goals as a top three. The number one goal is to push out a multiplayer product that people can enjoy that works, right? So you're not, flying out of the map. Your buddy isn't, rolling down a hill with no hope of coming back up. You're able to win the game. That stuff is obviously very important. That's the whole point of the game, and I want to make sure that at least in a very, very secure way is available at launch. The second thing is enjoyment, making sure that the game is enjoyable. I think I kind of touched on that with the first one, but what aspects do the community like? What aspects do they want to see removed or built upon? Taking that into account. And then the third one is believe it or not, some people would put this at 1, I'm putting it at 3. Bugs, making sure the bugs are hashed out. I there are plenty of games that I can think of off the top of my head that had plenty of bugs, plenty of issues. Halo 3 is one of them. I loved Halo 3, but you could do the elevator glitch on multiple different maps. You could get out of the map. Things that necessarily were not supposed to be in the game, but they didn't break it. And the base gameplay was so enjoyable that you really didn't mind it. And the people who were using those bugs, they didn't really get in your way. So anything that's, of course, experience breaking, that will be a priority. But I want to focus on the experience that the community has before I go to the small things. For example, your foot happens to go into a rock a little too much, and you don't like the way it looks. I'm sorry, you might be waiting a little bit for that, right? Or the one of the AI in the game, because there's going to be AI entities. Maybe it walks backwards at a certain part. You're probably going to have to hold off on expecting that to be changed for a little bit while I focus on maybe adding another class, a playable class, or working on a new game mode. That's kind of my priority for the 8-week timeline, or not the 8-week timeline, but more of a post launch timeline. So I think there's one more part of that question. I know I'm spending a lot of time, my bad, but um, where we're at now. So the map is complete in a basic form. I'm going to go back to the fine details. Right now, the combat engine has been complete. We had a 3-month head start on that because I'd been working on that for my game, a different project. And then right now, I'm focusing on getting all of the AI down. So there's going to be 3 different types of AI. I'm not going to go into detail on that now, but making sure that they listen to commands and that they are progressible. So you can upgrade them. I don't even know if progressible is a word. I may have just made that up, but you can upgrade them in the game. So I'm focusing on that currently.
You got it. That was very, very insightful, Dom. So thanks a lot for sharing. A quick question for you, perhaps, just as a brief follow up to your conversation with Mick. Are there plans to have the Legends of Hikari be free or available to play for non Hikari holders?
So, Ziz, you want me to touch on this? I saw you on mute.
Yeah. Do you want to touch on that one?
Yeah. So from a personal standpoint, again, this is strictly my personal standpoint. Something I believe that will provide the most value to Hikari holders is having the game be free to play, following a free to play model, except they get some sort of very, very lucrative bonus. Okay, so why is that beneficial? Because more people are exposed to the environment, more people come into the game, more people probably want that bonus that the holders have that bumps up the demand for their tokens, and you're able to enjoy the experience more. So the earlier question we had with filling up the lobbies, 3 months in, that might be an issue, and that free-to-play model is certainly a great solution to that issue.
Wonderful. And look, I know we're definitely hammering the game element to the collection because we do have quite a few gaming maxis within NVHQ, and there's a whole lot of it's a big thing to unpack. One more question I have while we're on this topic, with the free to play element, with the NFT integration, are we going to get some tokenomics? Is there going to be a play to earn model here, or is this just a way for a form of utility for the NFTs themselves?
So at launch, sorry, Ziz.
No,
At launch, there's not going to be tokenomics supported. So you're probably wondering why. You might be upset. It's very, very, very important that server authority and security are upheld at the forefront, right? AAA studios, I think Infinity Ward, right? Call of Duty Warzone, they're still having trouble, and they have billions of dollars or maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. They have a lot of money, right? So if they can't figure it out, why are we going to base a project's economy on such an active model? I actually had a very, very good call today with someone at Avaric Saga about tokenomics, and it's certainly possible. There are models to explore, and it is something that we are discussing internally. But there are things that need to be secured prior to any implementation there.
Okay, that's good to know. So we're looking at the game being utility for the NFTs, and for players that are interested in getting involved in the ecosystem, the NFTs are going to be their way to represent themselves within the game, and build out a character that has certain skills and aligned to a certain clan, while you guys sort of investigate the future roadmap and how tokenomics may come into the game mode. So good information, thank you. Vigil, I think you wanted to have a bit of a chat about the PFPs.
Yeah. So, well, I'm gang, but I feel like perhaps Hikari might sway me here. So I was actually a little curious about the mint process, right? Genu's actually pretty interesting. So people are going to be able to mint souls, and it seems as though there's an element of game theory here, right? Your team have basically alluded to it. You can choose to go through the Genu process, right, where you'll go through a DSCI framework personality test, and you're going to get a resultant NFT, or you could not. So let's talk about that. So let's say I'm into Soul and I choose not to go through Genu. Can you give us any hints, perhaps, as to what future opportunities might exist?
That's a good question. Do you just want to touch on this one?
Yeah, sure. I think if you go and have a look through I believe it's the manuscript breakdown medium article. So there's a hint in there, and look, we've alluded to a little bit. One of the main things that we've said is the souls. I want to be careful with my words here, but the souls will have some sort of integration with the MOBA. And that is all we'll say now. Obviously, it is ensuring that sort of game theory is kept alive, right? And obviously, by sort of keeping a little bit undercover, I guess you could say, on that end, that obviously enables that. And so, in terms of that, it's all planned out, and it will. Yeah, I don't want to say too much on it without reveal it, to try not reveal too much. But if you go and have a look at that manuscript breakdown and you see some of the hints in there, and combined even with Genu, I think when people go through, look, I went through Genu for probably the 4th time last night, and I think when people go through Genu, and obviously that whole storyline, I think you will get a pretty good understanding of what's to come. And obviously you would have already used your soul then, but I guess the word will start to be spread pretty quickly. So does that answer your question?
No, that's very, very good and very, very interesting. I suppose. Okay, I get what you're saying. So people are going to have to go through the Genu process to potentially unearth the mysteries then of what'll happen with the soul.
Yeah, I mean, cool. To be honest,
and yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, to be honest, that's never been intended. I guess it was never intended that you go through Genu and can sort of unravel it more. But even just going through last night, I think it's very hard to write a storyline and obviously have the souls involved and not unravel anything through for someone going through the actual storyline top to bottom, right? So I guess there will obviously be sort of pieces in there, and if you can decipher it and sort of put those together, I think people will get a bit of an understanding as to what's to come with the souls.
Awesome. Now we do know now how the clans are going to come into effect within the game, and those clans, are there going to be limited item pools for each clan? Is there shared limited item pools within the Genu system? How's that going to work? Are people who want to get the rarest items off the bat going to want to mint immediately?
No, so you will not need to mint immediately. I don't want to touch on Trajan and his team, who's actually not on board this. He's been taking care of the whole Genu and the back-end system and everything. They're putting final touches on as we speak. So I don't want to touch on this too aggressively because I don't want to obviously say the wrong thing. But in terms of, timing and shared pools, it essentially, as soon as you sort of get put into your grouping, it is randomized, I guess, from that point onwards. So, speed is not going to play any role. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you. So, people to be motivated to mint based on getting their character and having access to the game,
and that's,
or not mint.
Yeah, that's the thing, I guess, even obviously alluded to a little bit before, right, in terms of the game theory coming into it, is there are a few, while minimal, there are a few strategies that sort of come into play when you combine that Genu and the soul system, right, which is, one of the reasons, I guess, that method came about. So, in terms of how, some of the different strategies to approaching it, I mean, one of the smartest ways to potentially do it, if and this is I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here, but in terms of the marketing, I guess one thing that's been really interesting about this has been the different demographics that come to play, right? Because you've got Jeez, who's got an audience of 2 million plus followers. You've got people coming in that are just wanting a piece of his art, right? And may not be too experienced with NFTs, which is great. But they're going to come in and they're just going to put their soul through Genu right away and obviously just get that character. Then you've obviously got, and this, as a lot of the alpha groups and sort of more experienced people in the space that we've been speaking to, bringing this up is, you've got more experienced traders and, maybe even people that are obviously in there for a more, I guess, a primary monetary gain. And so, one of the strategies you might use there is say, okay, perfect. I want to hold on to the soul for 9 to 10 days. I'm going to sort of see what kind of rarity comes out or where the rarity is sitting. Try and find some little pockets. Okay, perfect. Female characters in this clan with maybe these different traits that have been picked up through GNU are very rare right now. Let me go through and enter in now and try and sort of, I guess, game the system, right? So there's a few different dynamics that come into play there to touch on that.
Okay, wonderful. And I am conscious of time. I know we have a hard stop in roughly 5 minutes. So I'll just note to the community, if anyone has questions that they want to ask, have them at the forefront of your mind and put your hand up now so we can start to get some people on stage. What I will do is quickly ask, and we'll probably only have time for maybe one, at best two. So I just want to ask, while people think of what they want to ask, is streetwear, comics, and then the anime in the feature. Are you partnering with other teams for that? Is that all going to be delivered within this team?
Sure. I'll keep this brief, obviously, but essentially with the comic book, that has got a time frame of 4 weeks post mint. A lot of people obviously questioning how that's sort of possible, producing a 50-page comic within that sort of time frame already. And Shmood's organized all of this and sort of leading this at the moment within the community. There's about 25 community members who are all coming together and are currently writing that comic book. So it's going to be about the 4 different clans, obviously a story on each, and those drafts have already started to be released. So if you're inside of the Discord, I think some sneak peeks and that sort of stuff have already started to be released there in terms of manufacturing there and printing and third-party logistics, ship it all out. That is already completely sorted. So I think a lot of people sort of look at the roadmap and say, hey, how are you going to achieve that in such a short period of time? At the end of the day, it doesn't start at mint. It starts well before mint. Same thing in terms of streetwear. So G's actually has his own streetwear brand already, and so in terms of connections, in terms of design, there it makes obviously our job as a team a whole lot easier. So manufacturing and everything on that end is already well obviously well underway, I guess you could say, in terms of talks and discussions and figuring out who those partners are going to be and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I hope that answers those questions. Sorry, I'm trying to keep it as brief as possible so we can bring up some questions here as well.
No, you got it. And look, thanks a lot there, Ziz. We appreciate the detail as always. Looks like we do have and we aren't going to have much time here, so I think we're just going to be able to take the one question here today. We have got Seinfeld, Universal HQ fam. How you doing? You are on stage, my friend. Go ahead, unmute, and ask your question for the team.
Thank you for having me, guys. Mick and Vigil, as usual, you're doing a wonderful job. Thank you for the team for being here to answer our questions. Given that you kind of went through all the serious minutia, I wanted to kind of step back and ask, what is something in the game that you're really looking forward to that might not have been highlighted before?
Dom, do you want to touch on this as probably the biggest expert on the game?
In the game, something I'm very interested in, and I was just talking about this in another chat, another AMA. So obviously there's 4 clans, right? I'm very interested to see how the interclan, communication or, alliances, quote unquote alliances, play into the game. So if it's an established thing that 2 clans, Tempest and, again, always Tempest, Tempest and Crescent Moon, they get along, they work together. I'm very interested to see how that could play into the game itself. And then obviously at the end there has to be a winner. So maybe they focus on taking down the other 2. And there's also a feature that I'm adding into the game to kind of piggyback on that whole concept. And without going into too much detail, that personally, that is with the whole 4-team dynamic, that's the thing I'm most interested in. Even though I kind of touched on that already, but I think since it's so new, it's something that is not necessarily used per se in the MOBA genre. I think that's going to be something that is very, very big and influential for Hikari specifically.
Sounds awesome. I always love to hear people trying to push the envelope and add new, innovative features to games that normally might not have them.
Seinfeld, thank you very, very much for that question. Now, just before we wrap up, we do have a little bit of a surprise, and it is, in fact, that the Hikari team today have very, very kindly, and again, massive shout out, massive love to the entire team from Hikari. Thanks for taking the time to spend with us. I know discussion's been dominated by the Moba today, but we absolutely wish you the best for your launch coming up, I believe, this weekend. So very, very exciting for you. But the lovely team from Hikari have actually given us 3, I believe it is, allow list slots to give away to our listeners here today. Now, of course, we are just about to run out of time here. So we're going to do this a little differently today. We are going to award one of those slots to the lovely Seinfeld for coming up here and asking the team a great question. But that leaves us with 2 more slots remaining. And how we're going to do it is we are going to go fastest fingers first. The Metaverse HQ account run by Poopaloop today is going to be staring at the audience list, and he is going to be looking out for whoever makes the first particular emote react. Now, it's going to start now, but you don't know what the emote react is, right? So I'm going to tell you.
I'm on the edge of my seat here.
Yeah, I love this. This is great.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed. I see some people spamming some random reacts already, but you don't know what it is just yet. So get ready. I'm going to announce what the emote is in a couple of seconds now. And the first 2 people that the Metaverse HQ account Poopaloop sees are going to score those 2 allow list slots, and the emote to press is a blue heart. All right, let's go. Let's see who's got that blue heart. I see some people out there with 2s. I'm not sure if it's a blue heart, not a purple heart. I see some purple hearts out there. Do we have our 2 winners? Metaverse HQ account Poopaloop, tell me, what do we got?
I think we need you hosting any tournaments that we do inside of this game, man. My goodness, this is impressive.
All right, it looks like we do have our 2 winners. We have got Adionis and Larson. So congratulations to the 2 of you. So Seinfeld, Adionis, and Larson, please DM the Metaverse HQ account with your Discord name and wallet address, and we'll get you sorted out for allow list slots. But that is basically a wrap here. Again, a very big thank you to the team from Hikari. Did you have any closing comments for us today?
Yeah, no, I just want to say, obviously, look, the partnership's been going on for a while. We didn't even get a touch on this, but obviously there's going to be that Metaverse HQ sword included in the collection, which is going to be great. I believe there's 25 of those included in the collection. So, yeah, man, we obviously appreciate all the support. Mitch, everyone on the back end has just been, tremendous help to us throughout this whole journey. So thank you guys to your whole community. Thank you guys, obviously, for hosting this, and to everyone that's tuned in. Apologies that we couldn't stay on longer. These past couple of days have just been insane in terms of AMA, so we're jumping from one to another. But yeah, appreciate you guys a lot for having us.
No worries at all, and thank you for coming. Sorry, Mick, did you want to say something real quick?
Just thanks for attending, guys. Really appreciate the chat. It was good to dig into it, and best of luck with the launch.
Appreciate it a lot, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it. So once again, a very big love to, of course, all the Metaverse HQ fam out there in the crowd. Of course, a big love to the Hikari community members who are here today. Big love to the Hikari team. If you haven't checked them out, make sure you do minting this weekend. Check them out on Twitter at Hikari_NFTs. Check them out, and we'll see you next time. This has been, once again, a Metaverse HQ Spaces with the team Hikari. Take care. We'll see you soon.